You are officially in the incinerator. Welcome to Incense and Common Sense, the live streams that we do here on the Alert Zone TV. Shout out to everybody because this is a worldwide movement. I would love for you guys and you girls to become active citizens of this channel. Y'all already know how to do that. Um, it is, as of the filming of this live stream, up here in Iowa right now, it's about minus 15 or minus 20 degrees outside with the wind chill. Um, I just looked at the weather. It's looked like the eastern half of the country, all the way south back home to New Orleans, is expecting a lot of cold weather. So you guys and girls, as you come out, make sure you dress properly. Uh, you don't want to get frostbite. Uh, Also, if you have any damaged limbs, broken arms, broken legs, things like that, you got any kind of metal in your body, make sure you dress accordingly because you will definitely feel it. I hope everybody is being safe wherever you are across the country, and not only across the country, but across this world, because this is a worldwide movement. Definitely, I give everybody a couple minutes to get up in here like we do. At the 5 minute mark, we will get this thing going. Yeah, man. Like I said, it has been the last couple of weeks. It's been really cold up here, man. It's been really cold. We didn't had since Black Friday. We didn't had already 20 something inches of snow, close to 21, 22 inches of snow fall up here. In 3 different snowings. That's more than we had probably all year last year and probably the year before together combined. So it's definitely supposed to be a pretty bad year here, not only in the Midwest, but out east, northeast, and all that. Also, if you're watching from Washington State, I wish you guys and girls a speedy recovery out there. I know y'all dealing with a lot of flooding and things like that. It's really nasty weather out there. So definitely, I hope I would love to see you guys and girls get back on your feet and get back to normal living. So I give everybody, like I said, a couple minutes to get up in here. We can get this done. We can do this. Yeah. So, man, just decided I'll go ahead on and do this tonight. I was gonna do it earlier, but I was kind of busy, so decided let me get my butt up here and do this tonight. Give everybody a couple more minutes to get up in here. Also, make sure you're supporting your favorite gun tuber or gun tubers. We go through a lot to put this content out. I know sometimes it may be easy in people's mind to do content, and before I became a content creator, sometimes I would kind of, but it's kind of like being a singer, writer, whatever. Sometimes you get writer's block. Sometimes you might see some of us take a break from YouTube, or you might not see us post for a couple of days. Because we just get creator's block. Sometimes you just got so much going on outside in your personal life. Now, if you do this for a living and you're making a great living off of this, it may be different for you. But for a lot of us, well, for me, and I know I can't be the only person going through this, sometimes you just get like writer's block, where I don't have my book with me, it's on my truck, but usually I have my book with me while I write my topics down so I can keep trying to keep filming, what have you. But besides writer's block, man, sometimes some of these stories, as a human, especially doing 2A content, as a human, sometimes, man, you just got to take a couple days break, a week break, man, and just gather yourself, because it's work sometimes, and it does take a toll on you mentally just thinking about some of the things we talk about here. Because we have real life discussions in GunTube, and sometimes I just think that a lot of people don't be aware of how real life some of this stuff be, because they've never had to deal with it, and sometimes they don't think that it can happen to them. All right, so let's go ahead on and get into this mass bloodshed. Uh, I'll start here at home in America. Make sure you hit the likes button as you come in here. If you guys and girls don't know, it's happened again. Here in America, Rhode Island, Brown University, we had somebody show up last night, allegedly, and I have to say allegedly because the legal proceedings, I want to make sure I don't get sued or what have you. Allegedly showed up to Brown University in Rhode Island. All right, we got Destro in the building. Showed up to Rhode Island to a college university and aired to join out. Now, it's my understanding the alleged, they keep saying a suspect, person of interest. You don't arrest a person of interest and say the threat is eliminated. Just go ahead and call him a suspect. My understanding last night when I first heard about this was they had caught him. They didn't want to release the name because they said they was checking for social media. When I saw that, I kind of knew what that meant. They was checking social media. They were definitely scrubbing his social media. If you guys and girls don't know now, here in America especially, when we have these mass acts of violence like this, in the cases where they know usually the perpetrator is going to leave a manifesto probably or a digital footprint, now they've decided to not release the person's name up front, and they start looking for social media so that they can scrub it. If the person has left a manifesto, they'll go out now and they'll pull the manifesto offline. So the internet sleuths that be on it may know and may get a hold of it, but nevertheless, my condolences to the people that lost their lives. And to the people that was injured, and to the people who've never been through a situation like that. I want to keep hammering this point home. It can happen at any time, any place, anywhere, from anybody. This thing that don't happen here, this thing of we don't have to worry about that, we're immune. I want people to get that out of their heads. You're not immune from crime. You're not immune. I want you to understand something. All of us, including myself. We just one action or one bad apple away, one bad actor away from being victimized either physically or monetarily. What do I mean by that? Either somebody oh yeah, you know what I'm getting at. You know what I'm getting at, Destro. But nevertheless, I always say this: having a firearm does not guarantee you're gonna stay alive. Having a firearm gives you a chance. But this can happen at any time, and it keeps happening in places where people are just dumbfounded. Let me explain something to you. I'm from New Orleans. We have second lines, we have Mardi Gras, we have the old New Orleans. We have block parties, splash. It's always something going on. It's always a reason to be outside. I don't live my life to the point of I don't like to be around a bunch of people and I can't be outside, because you know what? We live in a world where you can be in church now and you can get your fucking head blown off in church. You can be in the grocery store. You can get your head blown off in the grocery store. You can be in a school and you can get your head blown off in a school. There's a lot of different places you can be at. And things can happen to you. So you have to keep that in mind. We can't hide forever. There's a group of people I want to talk to. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm going to try to stop using so much profanity. because I had somebody give me some good advice about that, and I really need to work on it, especially doing this YouTube thing. But that's why I put it's not for children, in case I have a slip of the tongue. There's a group of people that need to be talked to. People that didn't grow up in quote unquote the hood or drug infested areas. When I say drug infested, I mean like with strung out people walking around, because there's drugs in the suburbs. These billion dollar mansions, the Hamptons and all that, there's drugs in all these places. Wall Street, there's drug addicts on Wall Street. They just look different. That's it. I want you guys and girls who live in these kinds of places to get out of this thing of we're immune. That don't happen here. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Suburban, rural, and small town America has more violence in it than people think that it does, because the mainstream media don't plaster it all over the news. There's way more violence in these smaller places than you think there is. They have you thinking once you leave the big city, you scot-free and nothing else is going to happen to you. And you go to some of these small towns and these small cities, and it's literally like gunfights at the OK Corral. You just don't hear about it, because we've let mainstream media make us think that if we live in a certain place, certain things can't happen. I tell you guys and girls all the time, go watch Forensic Files. I want you to sit down one day, Pluto TV or Hulu or whatever, just binge watch Forensic Files one day when it's cold or you ain't got nothing to do. Turn your TV on and just watch that program and pay attention. They go into mansions. Yeah, man, they go into mansions, gated communities. There's always something happening in these kinds of places. These little small towns with 100, 200 people all over the damn world. There is no such thing as, well, if I leave the big city, I'm safe. No, crime is everywhere. And when people start understanding crime is everywhere, because crime is a little known secret in these places, they don't like to plaster that all over TV, because then they feel like it makes the property value go down. So they tell you these things, that if you live in a certain area away from a certain type of person, you're safe. And then Brian Kohlberger shows up. If you move to this particular place, you'll be okay. And then a school shooter shows up. If you move out in the woods, move into a rural area where everybody knows everybody, you safe. Yeah, you might be able to leave your doors unlocked and what have you, but nothing's ever going to happen to you. And then somebody shows up and shoots up the damn church. Crime is everywhere. Because if crime wasn't everywhere, there wouldn't be prisons in all 50 states. For those of you here in America who've never got a chance like me to travel the country, once you get west of Interstate 35, the population of America starts to thin out. The country becomes more and more lessly populated. And if you go up Interstate 35, the further north you go and then west you go, it was like being in San Antonio. If you in Texas, once you get west of San Antonio, you know all you start seeing, the further west you go, is canyons and sand. You get to Las Cruces, you leave, you don't see nothing. And so on and so forth. You come up to the Pacific Northwest and what have you, you get outside of the big towns. Most of these states don't have high populations. Yeah, man. I'm going to get to that. Yeah, man. You get into these places, there's nothing. There's nobody out there. And yet they got prisons. Yet they got sheriffs. Yeah, they have shootings. They have everything going in these very same places that goes on in Chicago. You know, the one place they can't stop talking about. The most segregated city in the damn country. For those of you who don't know, I've had several people tell me about Chicago. I do have family there. I've asked them, and I've had multiple family members and people that I met throughout the years tell me, yes, Chicago is very segregated. You can be one side of the street can be one group, the next side of the street, and I ain't even talking about the street gangs. I'm just talking about the ethnic and racial makeup of Chicago. But another school shooting. The alleged shooter, Benjamin Erickson. They said he was I think he spent 3 or 4 years in the military, and that he worked at Arlington National Cemetery or something like that, as a groundskeeper or what have you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what drove him to go to Brown University. But the whole point is, I want everybody, and before I say this, I understand Rhode Island got some very, very, very strict gun laws. I seen people in the comment section that live in Rhode Island that said their gun laws is even worse than California, if you can believe that. Nevertheless, look, everybody already know gun laws is to restrict law-abiding citizens. Everybody knows that already. At this time, this day and age, screaming and hollering, you disarming the citizens is like talking to this damn wall over here. These guys and girls know that already. That's their little leverage. I told you, the Second Amendment, until we make it a one issue. All right, we got Gun Freak Nation. We got William Fratelli in here. Until we make the Second Amendment a one issue vote, like people make abortion a one issue vote, they're gonna keep playing football with you. I urge you, my law-abiding citizens here in America, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, whatever, whether you're black, you're white, you're Hispanic, you're Asian, you're red, Native American, whatever you consider yourself to be, whether you're a U.S. citizen or whether you're a permanent resident, whether you like Donald Trump or you don't, he's put his foot in his mouth so much to the point that he'll take any win he can get. This is the time to get H.R. 38 passed, national reciprocity, with no restrictions. This is the person to get it done. Because once Donald Trump is gone, I'm telling you, the Second Amendment gonna go back to what it's always been, just a political football. It'll never have another national deal. It'll just be states' rights. Let's get this through while this man is in office. Period, point blank. And we gotta get a lot of these restrictions removed about where you can't carry. The courthouse, federal buildings, schools. I can understand inside of a school, outside of one. I say no for the simple fact we got too many school shooters running around out here. And a lot of the school resource officers, especially after Uvalde, you already know how I feel about school resource officers. After Uvalde, I won't never let that go. But we have to make the Second Amendment untouchable. If you touch the Second Amendment, you got to pay with your political career. And we need to make big examples out of people. You compromise 1 inch, we need to get you voted out of there. Wherever you live at in this country, we need to get you out of there. To the NRA and to all these gun rights groups, that's not real gun rights groups. They political, basically they political affiliates running around masquerading as a gun rights group. Put y'all little biases aside that y'all have. Let's get together and get this thing done. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm not a member of the NRA. I don't have an ambition to join them. They've let too many things slide. There's been too many times the NRA should have spoke up and they didn't say anything. So I don't. I'm not gonna speak against them. I'm just not with them. I'm open to working with them if we can get something done nationally. I live in a state where we've already got states' rights, and we've got it into the state constitution. To any of these groups out here, gun clubs, hell, I'll even say to, what's going on, Twin Gent? I'll even say to the 3%ers and the Oath Keepers and all you guys, girls who claim that you love the Second Amendment so much, I'm even willing to sit down and have a discussion with you guys and girls. I don't care what your racial feelings are. We got one common goal. Get the Second Amendment where nobody can put their hands on it. And we can get this national reciprocity put into law. Then after that, whatever it's going to be is whatever it's going to be. We can get this together and get this through much easier if everybody who claims they love the Second Amendment will put their little differences aside to get this done. Then after that, you can go back to squabbling or half-assing it or whatever it is to it. But I want you guys and girls to understand this shit has happened again. It's been another school shooting. I don't want people throwing stones from a glass house. Let me tell you what I mean by that. All this usual suspects comments and all that, you guys and girls got to stop this. Because it happens to anybody. This can happen from anywhere. I can go down the list and pick a group and just point out story after story after story. We can all agree crime doesn't know a color and it doesn't know a tax bracket. The poorest of the poor to the richest of the richest. Remember Bernie Madoff? So what? Because he didn't shoot nobody in the head. He might as well killed all the people that he fucking ripped. That he ripped off. On top of, I can go down the line. Warren Jeffers out there with the Mormon Church. I could just go on down the line. Hell, they just had a human sex trafficking ring get bust out there in San Jose. I can go down the line. All I'm telling you is none of us is immune from crime. Especially here in America. If you are able to be legally armed, you should be practicing your Second Amendment. If you are not practicing your Second Amendment, something is wrong. With that being said, let me jump over to another incident that happened. Condolences to the people that lost their life in Australia. For you guys and girls who don't know, by the way, shout out to T Electric because he did mention do a little touch up on this, and there was a mass killing in Sydney, Australia. I believe it was Sydney at Bondi Beach, where two gunmen opened fire on a bunch of people at a beach, and it's my understanding that the filming of this video, I know there's supposed to be 15 dead. I'm not sure how many more is injured. One of the gunmen was killed and the other one critically wounded, but they said he was still stable or what have you. I'm not sure. They said these two guys were father and son, and that they went and shot up a beach. Let me say this. I want you guys and girls to listen to me really, really good. We have issues on this planet, but ain't no group better than no other group. Ain't nobody better than nobody else. We are humans. You are what you are. I was born black. I didn't ask to be black, but I was born black and I'm proud of it. If you was born white, be proud of it. If you was born whatever you was born, be proud of it. Don't put your head down. because you didn't pick to come here. You didn't ask to come here. You take what's given with you and you make the best of it. But this is yet another reason why I tell people, staying away from large gatherings is not going to save you. This was at a beach. Another place, a beach. What can be more innocent than going on the beach to play in the sand or surf or whatever they was doing out there? And this happened at a beach. I want everybody to listen to this, what I'm about to say. Because this needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed directly. And I know on these social media platforms, there's only one group that everybody is supposed to tiptoe around. We can speak of them when we speaking good about them. But if we speak bad about them, we have to tiptoe around them. That's not free speech. That's not calling it down the middle. That's not calling like it is. So I'm going to go ahead on, and as I told you guys and girls, I'll be the one to take the slings and the arrows to the Jewish community. Some years back, y'all had a diplomat come here to America and give a speech. There was even something done called the Lobby USA, in which y'all let an Israeli official get up there and say the biggest threat to Israel was black American youth. Y'all didn't even defend us. Most black American youth don't leave America. That's a fact. And to get up there and say we was the biggest threat to Israel, we don't go over there. How can we be a threat to a group of people that we don't even go around? It's more of what I tell you guys and girls when I ask this question all the time on this channel. When you get legally armed, who are you getting armed for? See, sometimes you may not like who you surrounded by. You may not like the narrative, but reality is reality. I'm going to repeat this. Some dude living in Montana, up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere, you would be a fool to go out and buy a whole arsenal of guns because you worried about a bunch of gangbangers from the south side of Chicago coming to carjack you. People commit crimes, close to proximity. That is a fact. That's a fact around the world. It's not just a fact here in America, around the world. People commit crimes in proximity. The closer you are to them, the more likely you are to be victimized. That is a reality. Right? I'm sorry, a reality. Stumbling all over my words. Charlie Kirk was asked about trans people before he took his last breath. And he thought to drag black people in this. Gangbangers. You in Utah, why are you talking about us? You don't even live around us. Most black Americans have never been to Israel and don't desire to go there. They couldn't even tell you where that place was located on the map. And to have a foreign official come here to America and push that garbage lie. We've never shot up a synagogue. We've never bombed a synagogue. We don't go to foreign countries looking for Israeli people and Jewish people so we can mistreat. We don't do that. Up in New York, for my New York people. When I used to travel down that Brooklyn-Queens Expressway, was it the ones, the Ashkenazis or whatever? You see them everywhere walking around. They got a whole town called Kiryas Joel. Nobody is riding from Brooklyn or Queens or Yonkers to go to Kiryas Joel and victimize them. We're not going in their stores, their corner stores, and airing the joint out because they Jewish. Hell, I'm gonna say something that might get this live stream banned, but I'm gonna say it. Most people don't even know the actual derogatory name for Jewish people. Why would they allow her to come here and spew that garbage? And then all these supposed allies we have from that community didn't say nothing. They didn't call her out. Crime is always going to be carried out by somebody that is close to your proximity, whether you like it or not. People talk about black on black crime all the time. Well, yeah, if you haven't been across America, you might not know, but the majority of this country is segregated / separated. The majority of this country is not a bunch of people from a bunch of different ethnic, racial backgrounds living in the same neighborhood. That's not the way America is. I've been to 46 out of 48 continental states. I'm telling you what I know. The majority of this country is not like that. The majority of this country is segregated. Period, point blank. And that's okay. So what does that mean? The neighborhood you live in, the people you come in contact with the most, are more likely going to be the people that's going to victimize you. That's a fact. If you live in Idaho, home of the Aryan Brotherhood, yeah, you're more likely to have Brian Kohlberger show up than you are Pookie and Ray Ray showing up. That's just a fact. If you live in the hood, it's more likely it's gonna be Pookie and Ray Ray you're gonna deal with. It's not gonna be Connor or Edgar or Homedao. None of them. And it's okay for us to have this discussion. People may not like what I talk about on this channel. What's going on, man? Appreciate you for stopping in. People may not like what I talk about on this channel, but I say that this channel is the nutritious and fruitful channel for a reason. If you'll just take your emotion out and listen to what I tell you, I'll tell you something that's logical. I'll tell you something from being out there. I grew up in New Orleans. When I was a kid, New Orleans was 82, 83% black. Yeah, it was more likely I was going to have trouble from black people. That's the majority of the people. I grew up literally in an all-black neighborhood. I was an adult before I had a non-black friend. In my neighborhood, I remember one white family living there. That was it. I grew up around all black folk. So I probably knowing coming up as a kid, if I get in a fist fight, it's going to be with somebody black. If anything else going to happen, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be with somebody black. It's the majority of the city, and I live in an all-black neighborhood. Well, guess what? When you live in a Hispanic neighborhood, guess who's more likely to victimize you? For my New Orleanians out there in Vietnamese village. Y'all know what it is out there. That was them Vietnamese out there doing that to each other. In white neighborhoods. White folk victimize each other. I live in a 80-something% white town. There's white folks up here victimizing each other. As a matter of fact, there's a couple guys that live in my neighborhood that got in some trouble because them and their dad was going around this town pulling burglaries in the real upscale neighborhoods. Hell, they had even went to the town shopping mall before they sold it and took $200,000-$300,000 worth of equipment out of there. That wasn't Pookie and Ray Ray. That's why I tell you guys and girls, I see things on the news y'all don't see. And I ask a simple question. And it took years of asking this question on this channel before people stopped getting so emotional. Who are you getting armed for? Now, if you're a person that travels across state lines, then and only then do you run the risk of anybody, any place, anytime, because you're changing demographics. But ask yourself, where you live at, is there a jailhouse in the county you live in? Are there prisons in the state that you live in? What is the makeup of the state that you live in? That should answer your question. Everybody is welcome here at the Alert Zone TV. Even people who don't always agree with what I say. But you got to be logical. I'm not telling you somebody else from another group can't victimize you. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm telling you is you're more likely that you're going to have an issue with a group of people or a person you come into contact with regularly than you do somebody else. That's why this stuff keep happening. We got a saying about New Orleans, old school New Orleans. Back when I was still living there, before 2010. Because I know a lot done changed. What's going on, Mr. 57? I'm doing good. I got something to say about New Orleans, the old New Orleans. The guys that danced, partied, and have a good time was the Stone fucking Killers. I can tell you, and that can't be exclusive to New Orleans, but I'm speaking on New Orleans. Some of the funniest dudes to be around was the most ruthless. And people wouldn't know that if they don't know that lifestyle, because TV has taught you that a criminal has to have a certain look. A sexual predator has got to look like a defamed monster. It's got to look like, Dorian Tyrell from The Mask when he put that mask on? That's what the mainstream media give you an image. And I've always taught you girls and guys and girls that will listen to me here. Image and definition is two different things. Because something or someone looks like something doesn't mean that they are. The image of a thug in America and the definition is two different things. Because the image is a dude with dreadlocks, skinny jeans, walking around with an ARP or a Glock with an extender. The definition is Bernie Madoff. The definition is Brian Kohlberger. The definition is Pookie and Ray Ray that's actually out here acting a fool. The definition is some of these other people from these other communities out here acting a fool. But we've gotten stuck on an image. We've had something planted into our mind by the mainstream media that anytime something happens, we're going to see it from a mile away and our spider sense is going to go off and we're going to have time to prepare. We've been taught that if we move to a certain neighborhood or stay away from certain groups of people, nothing can happen to us. You go ask them people from Bondi Beach how they feel about that now. And I'm not saying this to mark them, because ain't nothing funny about death. You go and ask them now. Their spokesperson, who came here years ago and said that their biggest threat was us, we wasn't the ones out there on that beach shooting down a bunch of innocent people. For the people who talk about they got the fatigue and the fatigue is real, the fatigue didn't go to Brown University and air that joint out last night either. See, I just want everybody to stop throwing stones from a glass house. Period, point blank. Just stop throwing stones from a glass house. And you, as a law-abiding citizen, I want you guys and girls to understand something. I share this information with y'all because I got to live in this world. My children got to live in this world. my grandchildren got to live in this world. Death ain't no coming back from death. Death came to visit me when I was young. And I've always been cognizant of that. When you leave, ain't no coming back. And I've always been cognizant enough to understand one thing. People commit crimes close to proximity. There's very seldom that you're going to have a stranger commit a crime against you. Now, if it's this carjacking or this jugging or something, yeah. But, I mean, for the most part, especially when it comes to losing your life, usually it's not a stranger. In the streets, for those of you who've never been in the street life, it's very, very rare that a stranger will be the one to get you in the street life. It's going to be somebody you know, because your antennas go up around strangers. That's just a fact. It's sad what happened. Like I said, I read the comments, and some of the comments I read, the Jewish community was having a fit and feel like they're being targeted, and what have they done and what have you. Without getting too political, I just want to say to the Jewish community, we didn't do this. We didn't bomb a synagogue. We didn't go on the beach and shoot a bunch of people in Sydney, Australia. We didn't come on October the 7th. We didn't do that. Fuck, we have our problems. Goodness knows we have our problems. We got the most well-documented problems in this country. But you can't fucking blame us for everything. You can't blame us for something that happened halfway around the world where the majority of us don't know where it is, and don't have a desire to go. Y'all can't come here and come blame us for everything. People come to America that can't speak English. You get off the boat, the plane, the fence, however you got here. You can't even say hello, and the first thing you know is that the criminal is us. And that, there was this, I gotta talk about this. And I know this is kind of off topic, but I gotta talk about this because I didn't know. The very first person I ever heard mention this, I'm gonna say this publicly. I was kind of skeptical because I had never heard of it, but I didn't want to say he was lying. My brother Eyes and Ears Tactical mentioned something some years back about people just coming over the border and saying that when they first got over here, down at the border, for the ones who told people that they jumped the fence, that it was a couple black people jumped in when they jumped the border. When I first heard that, I was like, there's no way nobody would reach that hard. At least say you went in a big city. Nobody would say down on the border, when they first got over the border, the first thing they encountered was a group of black folks that jumped them and beat them for being foreigners. Nah. And I heard it again. And then I started seeing more and more people come out and saying, yeah, stop that lie about when y'all jumped the fence. You got jumped by a bunch of black folk. And I started seeing Hispanic and Asian people talk about this. I said, nah. Then I found out about this U visa. Basically, if you came here illegally or legally and you file a report that you were the victim of a robbery or a violent attack or what have you, they fast track you to becoming a citizen. And then in Louisiana, my home state, earlier this year, there was, I think, 5 or 6 deputies and police chiefs arrested, along with a East Indian business owner, and he was paying them to make these reports saying that these guys and girls was being robbed or they saw somebody being robbed, and the suspect kept always being black. And they finally caught this scam and jailed them, and they fighting charges and what have you, and you know they got all this paperwork on them. And it just made me say, damn, we gonna get the fucking blame for everything? I'm cussing again. We gonna get the blame for everything? We just don't never do nothing good? That's all we known for? That's why I do this channel. That's why I talk about the things I talk about. When I started this channel, I said this, and I'm going to stick to it. I was going to show you guys how race, politics, and the Second Amendment intersect, whether you like it or not. If you would just not be so emotional, if you would just listen to me. I went from a 80% black city to a town that's less than 1% black. It was a culture shock for me. But I see the same crimes here that I seen there. It's just I don't dabble around in the street no more. This town I live in was the meth capital of the world for years. The millions of dollars worth of meth that comes through this town is unreal. The money that comes in and out through here in the underworld is unreal. Every time you look up, there's some kind of police chase going on. There's always some kind of craziness going on. And I started saying to myself, but we not here, so where's all this crime coming from? If it's said that we're the criminals, there ain't enough of us here, so what's all this going on here? You guys and girls know I was the first channel to talk about the stealing of the ammonia, anhydrous ammonia from the farmers up here. How the farmers have to be patrolling their property at night sometime, because guys and girls come in to drill holes in them anhydrous ammonia tanks. I posted them on my community tab so you can see what they look like. Throughout my life, when I was younger and I started getting older and more into the Second Amendment and the way things was being reported, I just kept asking myself, everybody get legally armed to protect themselves. But people get illegally armed to protect themselves from people they're dealing with. And then I moved here. And I can tell you, yeah, a lot of people in this country armed for a group of people they never gonna meet. I told you, we got a saying in New Orleans. Well, when you ready to fight, you be looking for that right hand and the left come out of nowhere. And the left be the one that gets you. There's a Brian Kohlberger just waiting around the corner. There's a Jesse Butler around the corner. There's a Drew Clinton around the corner. There's a Brock Turner around the corner. So on and so forth. I can just go down the list, go down the line. I want everybody to just use their heads. And I just want you to understand something. No matter where you live at in this world, the threat that you face is going to come from within your living surroundings and the people that you come into contact with the most. Sorry to tell you. Now, it's my understanding that this group, these guys were Arab or what have you. Hey, we didn't do that. It's just that simple. Stop giving us the fucking charge for everything. We didn't do that. Don't feel like if you stay from away from us, nothing can happen to you. For the Asian women that come here to America that get trafficked, we not trafficking y'all. Sorry about that, everybody. We we a loving group of people. Do we have our riffraff? Yes, we do. But I'll say something, and I'll stand on it. Non-black people are safer around black people than we are. If you don't believe me, just get online and look. Most groups will tell you, especially here in America, we've been the most welcoming people. We don't discriminate. We don't, as a group, refuse to spend money with people from other groups. If you show up in our neighborhood, you open a tire shop, a fruit stand, a corner store, a gas station, whatever, we coming in there. We're not going to say, oh, yeah, you ain't one of us, so we're not going to come in there and spend our money with you. We're going to come in there and spend our money. And we'll spend enough money that you guys and girls will feel like it's okay to disrespect us. And we'll still come up in there. I'm going to say this. We didn't pull this stunt out in Australia, and that community owes us a public apology. That community owes us a public apology because they never apologized to us for that woman getting up there saying that we was the danger to Israel. We don't go over there. Anyhow, I just thought that I would get those out of the way because those was the biggest two events on top of the regular stuff that's going on. Let me address something else. Whether you participate in Christmas or not, whether you believe in the holidays or not, yeah, about that Sharon Moore, whatever his name is. Jugging. I've been seeing that the jugging has been getting off the chain as of late. These guys and these girls, because I told you, you can't have these crime rings without women being involved. You might don't see them. Even in the Italian mob, who you think laundering that fucking money? Who you think laundering that money? They're more involved than they're willing to say. But nevertheless, this jugging, following people home from the banks. When you come out of the bank, even if you're going to do regular business, when you go up to the ATMs, understand this. You may possibly be under surveillance. Have your peace with you. This is my advice this time of year. Stay away from the ATM. Go in the bank during banking hours. Get whatever money it is you need. Go home. Or if you're going to pay a bill, whatever you're going to do, go do that first. Don't go and do like some people I've seen. Go to the bank. I seen a couple down in Houston on the news. Went to the bank, got $9,000 or $10,000 out that they saved because they was going to buy their son a car. They decided to stop at the local store, go in there and get them something to eat. And as soon as they walked in the door, the dudes pulled up behind them, broke the window, went in the dashboard, got the bag of money and left. 30 seconds and it was gone. That kind of money, take it home. Or keep it on your person with your pistol. Don't you ever think that because you don't ride in a flashy car, you don't wear designer clothes, that people not watching you. People will rob you for $3 if they got to. Because you know what? $3 is a lot of money when you broke. $10 is a lot of money when you don't know where your next dollar coming from. We in hard times economically. We had a strike in Syria, which, by the way, condolences to the service members that lost their lives. I'm understanding one of the service members that was killed in Syria was a part of the Meskwaki Police Department, and Meskwaki is about 20 minutes from where I live, the Meskwaki Reservation in Tama. If I get a chance, I get this truck damn going. If I get a chance to go over there to Tama, man, I might go poke around and be nosy and see if I can find out anything in that, let the people know, our condolences. Thank you for his service. But if you're in America, you're a law-abiding citizen, you need to be armed, and I'm going to tell you why. For those of you who never been to America, America is not a homogenous country. America is a melting pot. You got some of everything here, and it's spread out. Geopolitically affects us because whatever skirmish we have around this world, we have people from that country living here. And let's just be honest. There's people that live here in America that's loyal to their home countries, or they're loyal to their parents' or grandparents' home countries for first and second generation Americans. Their allegiance is still to another country. And this is not no fear mongering that I'm doing. For anybody trying to say, you trying to fear monger. I'm telling you. When these skirmish Venezuela, this boat thing, I don't know a lot about it, but this boat thing with these boats, there's Venezuelans here. That can possibly be some of their family members that lost their lives. People are not willing to let that go just that easy. Unfortunately, 2025 was started off with a terror attack in my hometown of New Orleans. The guy with the pickup truck. That was a geopolitical thing that he called himself fighting back for. You got a lot going on. You got to be legally armed out here, and you just have to hope that it's not your time. And if it is your time, just hope that you got a chance to extend it, possibly. Don't matter where you go right now, man. All of us are vulnerable. It can happen at any time, any place, anywhere, by anybody. Unfortunately, people still think that if they live a low-key life, that they're safe, and it doesn't work like that. What can be more law-abiding than going to college? Anywhere. You can go and ask all those people at Brown University what they think now that it showed up on their front door. That somebody showed up and pulled this heinous act that they pulled. I warn y'all because I got to live in this world. When I leave, I got children, I got grandchildren. Hopefully I live to see my great-grandchildren and hopefully I can live a longer life. They always say you try and leave the world better than how you found it. Just by doing these videos on YouTube, I've inspired people to get legally armed who used to say they don't believe in it. Some of them is taking heinous acts like Bondi Beach or Brown University or the Walmart in El Paso or Uvalde or a nightclub or a home invasion or robbery or whatever it took to happen to them or somebody close to them for them to go out there and get legally armed. Outside of America, I don't know what the gun laws are. Here in America, we have the rights to be legally armed. And you need to practice that if you're here in America. I don't care. If you're a permanent resident or a citizen and you don't have a felony record, you've never been convicted of domestic violence, or none of that domestic stuff, as a misdemeanor, you should be armed or you should think about getting armed. It's crucial out here. Let me explain something else. Because I didn't go into depth when I talked about this the other night. With all these plants closing around this country, every day you got more and more people getting laid off. More and more places just closing up. More and more people told at the end of the week you ain't gonna have no more job. People are gonna get desperate, man. People gotta live. The body can't go without food, water, and shelter. It can't. And let's be honest, most people that live in America, because we so first world, we're not survivalists. We can't survive out in the wilderness. We don't know how. A lot of us, we just mentally, we don't see ourselves having to do that. And understand something. Up here in the Midwest right now, like I told you, with the wind chill right now, it's about minus 15 degrees outside. Last night, I think it was got down to minus 30. It's cold up here. We in the midst of people losing their livelihood. We in the midst of an eviction crisis in the country. We in the midst of, for so long, we've allowed rent to be jacked up in this country so high that people can't afford it. And now they losing their job. And for the ones who lucky enough to get unemployment, it don't pay enough to cover your bills. We've allowed corporations to buy up whole neighborhoods. Yeah, you know what? Let me tell you something. When you ain't got no job, boy, that $10 an hour look good. Wherever you live at in the country. When you ain't got no job, shit, something is better than nothing. Inflation has been a reason, a big reason for crime. And now it's spread to the rest of the country. Let me tell you what I mean by that. In our community. This has been a proven fact for the last 30 plus years. But it's the one of the few facts people don't like to talk about publicly because it don't fit in the narrative. The majority of black crime has always been tied to poverty. The more we make legally, the less crime they happen. I can take you to neighborhoods, black neighborhoods around the country where they just as safe as any white neighborhoods you can point out to. You can leave your door unlocked and everything else. As we start climbing up the financial ladder, we want to get away from that kind of a lifestyle. Well, now the rest of the world, the rest of this country is starting to feel a pinch of, do I pay my light bill or do I put food on the table? Do I pay my car insurance or do I pay for my rent? The rest of the country is starting to feel this. And I mean people who have pretty decent jobs. People starting to look at $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 a month rent to live in neighborhoods that you got to peek your head out the door before you come out of there and hope that you don't get it blowed off. People starting to look at the fact they got to work 2 and 3 jobs just to make enough money to buy food, pay all their utilities, pay their rent, pay their car note, and to be broke. It's in spread. It's touching everybody everywhere. Even people that's considered to be rich feeling the pinch. Don't think they not. And I don't want to go into a whole screed about that and what have you, because I know that's not 2A related, but I'm telling you that things like this create hard times. And I'm going to tell you, most people don't know how to fish. Most people don't know how to hunt. Most people don't know how to live, don't have survival skills like that. And to them, it's much easier to come take your food than it is to go out there and catch their own. It's rough out here, man. And as the desire and the need for food and things get like that, get hard, people are gonna start committing more crimes. Right now, in the last 5 years, armored truck robberies have been at an all-time high almost. Yeah, well, you know what? Let me address that again. Let me address that. That food stamp thing. You know, a lot of that, and I'm not into technology like that. A lot of that, a lot of them news stories you saw was AI. Look at the dynamic and the demographic of people they kept putting on them commercials. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong. Yeah, that attitude is there too. Get me wrong, but I'm pointing out something because I pointed something out on Instagram, and I'm gonna say it here. There's a town in New York State called Curious Joel. I want you guys and girls to look that town up. It's called Curious Joel. It's I think a Hasidic Jewish town that the state gave them all this land. Do you know they said upwards of 40-something% of the population don't work, men and women? They get food stamps, they get housing, they get everything else. They get everything else everybody else get, but they never flash them on the TV. Curious Joel, the man and the woman is allowed to remain in the home. The man and the woman is allowed to remain in the home. They're allowed to run the town the way that they want. And the majority of them get food stamps and everything else. Some years ago, I was reading a New York Times article about back in New York and New Jersey, how many of them got busted in these housing developments doing the very same thing. They just didn't flash it all over the news. Just like with crime, since we having this discussion, they want black folk to be the face of food stamp. Ronald Reagan started that shit, for those of you who don't know. When he got up there with that welfare queen's crap. They want us to be the face of food stamps and Section 8 and all that. And then the numbers came out. Hey, wait a minute. It's not as many of them getting food stamps in Section 8 and all that other crap as we've been putting on TV for all these years. Because, see, we live in the information age now. See, mainstream media dropped the ball. Mainstream media used to control what everybody think. Oh, okay. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. We got a bad rap. Americans. Yeah, it's a lot of legal conflict going on with that zoning right now, because they keep saying if they want to expand the city, they'll zone the city Curious Joel for them to expand. And this ain't no anti-Semitic nothing. I'm just pointing out a pure fact. You guys can go and Google it and research it for yourself. And if I lied to you, you can hit me back in the comment section and call me a liar. Hell, I'll apologize. I'm telling you what I read. I'm telling you what I know. Now, if I misunderstood or misinterpreted something, I'll apologize for it, because I don't want to lie on nobody. But what I'm telling you is they didn't show that in all of this AI, all of this food stamp stuff that they was doing. The news around the country, they were very carefully cherry picking who they were going to put on TV and how they was going to frame this narrative. That's why I just decided to mention that, you know. Yeah, it's called Curious Joel. Most of y'all never heard of that before tonight. I read a story about that community a couple years ago. You can Google this too. In New York State, that the state commission showed up to one of their schools, their private schools, and out of 1,000 boys in that school, all of them flunked the state standardized test. Now, for those of you who know, American kids are always being perceived as being stupid. To be stupid. They went, you can Google this. The state wound up finding them $1 billion for the little scam that they was running. But they gave them the New York State standardized test, which means this is the state standardized test across the board, and all them boys in that school failed that test. That tells you what they learn. See, let's just throw it out there, and then I'll change the subject. They get into business because of who they connected to, not because of what they know. People see their names and automatically assume that they these real smart guys. But they couldn't even pass the test, a state standardized test. All of them failed, 1,000 of them. 1,000 young boys failed in New York at a Jewish, I don't remember the name of the school, but you can Google it. If I'm lying, just tell me I'm lying and I'll retract it. Because I don't want to put no bad stuff out on nobody. But I just thought I would go into this because as a law-abiding citizen, I care about my fellow man and my fellow woman. But I'm tired of everybody garbage being fucking dumped on me. Excuse me again. I'm tired of everybody's garbage being dumped on me. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of us taking the blame for everything. We can't always be to blame when something go wrong, but when something go good, we didn't have nothing to do with it. Oh, we was just in the background. Now, if the country agrees that Pookie and Ray Ray is the standard of criminal, that's fine. So when Chris and Christopher do something nice, well, then you got to make sure you put that out there in Front Street too. Don't just drag Pookie and Ray Ray out there, and when Chris and Christopher get up there and do the right thing, you don't talk about them. Or you say, yeah, they was there, but they was just in the background. Nah, let's call a spade, man. I just want everybody that's in this country, like I said, we all have our differences. We all have differences of opinion. If you love the Second Amendment, practice the Second Amendment. And understand something. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, this is going to be the person to get reciprocity through. Because he's been on his revenge tour since he got elected. And since he took office. A lot of stuff now, a lot of judges and stuff and politicians revolting against him. He's got a bad name. He wants to have a good name before he get out of office. This is the issue we got to stick on him about. This HR 38, we need to blow this up. We need to make sure that in the 2026 midterms, we need to get this through before Donald Trump's term is up. Listen to what I'm telling you. Hell yeah. Listen to what I'm telling you. If Donald Trump get out of office and we don't get national reciprocity, it'll never come up again. There ain't going to be another president that'll even entertain. And for those of you who don't know, Gavin Newsom has already made it clear he's planning on coming after national office. He's planning on trying to see if he can pat his feet out there and run for president. And let's just say he pats his foot out there and he wins. The Republicans got a majority of the Supreme Court right now, a super majority. And yet we still got states that got assault weapon and magazine bans that's still legal. So that tells you everything about the Supreme Court you need to know. It's like boxing. You can't leave it in the judge's hands. You got to knock your opponent out because the judges will steal the fight from you. Same thing with this. We can't leave it in the Supreme Court's hands. We got to get this through, get this into legislation, get it passed by a wide margin. I don't care if you got a Republican or a Democrat or whatever representative you got. They need to know their feet is going to be held to the fire on this. We need to get this through while this man is in office. That'll give him a win because that'll be something he can brag about. Yeah, to the Second Amendment community, I got y'all national reciprocity when nobody else would think that. If you don't get it through under Donald Trump, I'm telling you, we screwed and we're not going to get any national reciprocity. All right, we got Dr. T in the house. I'm telling you, we're going to be screwed if we don't get it through. I want everybody to understand something when it comes to the Second Amendment. We got to treat the Second Amendment. Josh Shapiro is another possible presidential candidate. You know, I don't know a lot about Josh Shapiro. I know I think his house or something got burned down or something. I'm not sure what Josh Shapiro's stance is on the Second Amendment. I hear he has a pretty decent name out here. He hasn't had too many things bad said about him. I don't know a lot about the guy. But I do know this. As a Second Amendment community, that should be one of the questions. I understand we need money. We need cheaper utilities. We need to go after the insurance industry, not only health insurance, homeowners insurance, and car insurance is ridiculous. There's a slew of things that we as Americans need to talk about. But the Second Amendment got to be one of the main questions that we ask. The next candidate for president, even if we can get national reciprocity through Donald Trump, the next candidate for president from Republicans, Democrat, third, 10th party, whatever, all got to address the Second Amendment publicly and constantly. We can't let them do it at one rally and then they never talk about it again. We got to have them talking about the Second Amendment every time, like they do about abortion. Whether they for it or against it, they have to talk about that at every rally. With the Second Amendment, we need to make them at every rally know that if they don't talk about it, there's going to be a political consequence to pay for it. Whether you for it or against it, we need to get you on the record repeatedly. And I don't mean no soundbite where nobody doctors something up. No, let them get out there where they stand so they can know that this is an issue that is going to be like a political litmus test. You know, kind of like reparations is. Hold on for 1 minute, everybody. Y'all hold on. Bear with me 1 minute. Sorry about that, everybody. There's something else while we having this discussion. By the way, make sure you hit the likes button as you come in. I'm enjoying this discussion. There's another group of people we don't even think about when it comes to these gun laws. What about the people that work at ammunition and gun manufacturers and accessory manufacturers plants? Anytime you cut into the Second Amendment, you possibly putting people out of a job. Think about that for a minute. Anytime you cut into the Second Amendment, possibly people out of a job. Ammunition plant. Well, if people ain't buying guns, then the assumption is they're not buying ammunition. Well, if your plant makes AR-15s, AK-47s, AR, AK platform, whatever platform rifles, and then they get banned, well, guess what? The workforce get cut. That's people that's losing a job. Now, we can argue about the quality control of the item, but the mere fact that people losing their job that do this for a living. I remember when I was driving a flatbed back in 2003. I met a guy that said he used to work at an ammunition plant that closed. Said he had a good job and he only got a CDL because the ammunition plant closed and he lived in a small town. For those of you who don't never lived in a small town, you guys and girls may not understand how this foolishness affects this town. Here, the town I live in, the biggest employer is JBS, the meat packing plant, hog plant. If they close that plant tomorrow, I can tell you this town will probably turn into a ghost town. All the truckers that haul meat there, all the different businesses that survive off of JBS will be closing up. Well, the same thing with some of these ammunition plants, some of these gun manufacturers. You guys and girls know Kel-Tec just moved out to Wyoming. They moved their operations out there. It's a pretty big facility from what I saw online. Maybe next year I'll reach out to them and they'll let me come there and test a couple guns and what have you. We also have Black Rain Ordnance down in Neosho, Missouri. But think about these places where they make this. Illinois, where they make Springfield. When the Illinois assault weapons ban went into place, they started laying workers off over there. That was people that lost a job. Let me tell you something. I would much rather people be out here working to put food on the table and provide for their family than them to not have a job and be trying to break in my house and take my shit. Or try and catch me out in front the door and catch me slipping. I would much rather that. I want you guys and girls to think about that. This is why the Second Amendment is so important. All right, we got Well-Dressed Tactical. You see that right there? I'm going to be honest. I don't think much of Jasmine Crockett. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think much of her, but yeah, see, that's got to be a no-no. She's got to understand Texas, of all places, you definitely can't talk about messing with firearms in Texas. There was a lot of people that left California and moved to Texas, and they tried to bring them California policies, and them folks let them know we got unlimited money in Texas. We got that generational wealth here. We'll outspend you 50 to 1 to not bring that foolishness here. So, yeah, you can't see stuff like that. They can't. No politician in America should be bold enough to say they want to ban anything with the Second Amendment. They shouldn't even they shouldn't even feel comfortable standing up there and saying, I'm going after magazine capacity. I'm going after assault rifles. I'm going after this type of gun. The Glock ban, the going after Glock. No politician in America should even feel like they got the guts and the balls to do something like that. But we in the Second Amendment community got to make that unacceptable. We have to make them know that if they utter those words out of their mouth, that'll be the end to their political career. And if they ever rear their head up and show up somewhere else and say, well, I think, it's got to be like a political nuclear thing. When you speak against abortion, that's it. The people that's against it, that's for it, they going to come out in droves. They going to make you know you ain't going to speak that. If you speak for it, same thing. Well, the Second Amendment got to be the litmus test. If you say anything that you're willing to take any kind of restrictions to the Second Amendment, we supposed to have you where this question comes up everywhere you go. You guys and girls going to have to understand something. When you go to some of these town hall meetings and all this rallies where they take questions from people, there's going to be enough people that's going to talk about money and different policies. We have to know that every time these politicians stick their head up, the Second Amendment is being thrown at them. Even in a place where the Second Amendment is free, like as we say, free states, they still got to know every time they open their mouths or show their faces in public, the Second Amendment is coming up. and we're not going to let off of it. There's enough people out there to talk about healthcare. There's enough people out there to talk about the economy. What we're not doing is putting their feet to the fire when it comes to the Second Amendment. Period, point blank. Now, for what I understand, because I think Rhode Island just got an assault weapons ban passed here earlier this year. And then this guy, allegedly, and I have to say allegedly because he hasn't been convicted of anything, goes and shoots this college university up, and he walks out of there. Why? Because he doesn't figure there's going to be anybody armed besides law enforcement that's going to do something to him. That's why. These guys and girls know they're emboldened in this kind of stuff. I told you guys and girls, the Second Amendment is like abortion. It's a political football. But we keep allowing people to kick the ball. No, we need to do like that old snobbish ass fucking kid that always had a ball but didn't know how to play. And when you didn't pick them on or they didn't win, they took their ball and went home. Yeah, you're right. You don't have a worry about her now. What I'm saying is, the reason we gotta stay on this is we just want to get this national reciprocity on the books, passed and signed into law, and then get it where it's enacted and it takes place quick like that so we can start practicing it. Like I said, in Iowa, we voted it into the state constitution. But I want this to be a national law. We need national reciprocity. And we shouldn't have to jump through no damn hoops either. We got to get the language right. If you can carry in one state, you can carry in all 50. There is no magazine restriction. There is no capacity restriction. There is no gun ban. You should be able to carry whatever you want as long as you're a law-abiding citizen and you got your concealed carry permit. Period, point blank. Them gun-free zones, we need to limit those. Like I said earlier, a courthouse, a federal building, the inside of a school, I can go for that. Everywhere else should be fair game. Because the gym, you guys, well, that was a targeted shooting, but still. Churches. You guys and girls know churches like the new killing fields here in America. Grocery stores. On Instagram the other day, I saw a view from the Twitch footage that somebody posted of Peyton Gendron when he pulled his little ambush at the Tops Grocery Market. And it showed his view from his camera on top of his head of him pulling out in the parking lot and him shooting the first couple people out there and then him shooting the window of the store and then going in the store and then opening fire. It showed all that. But we need to make it clear. When you go in the grocery store, there shouldn't be no restrictions. You need to have it on you. We live in a country where nowhere is safe. Get it out of your head that you're going to be in your bed sleeping. Somebody's going to try and break in your home. You're going to wake up. You're going to load your gun. You're going to put everybody in a safe room. You're going to call 911 and you're going to keep them at bay. Yep. And you're going to keep them at bay. We need to get rid of that. You got to get rid of that mentality. You got to get rid of that. You're more than likely, they're going to try and catch you off guard. That's number one. Number two, outside in the street. You need to be able to defend yourself outside in the street. For people who live in cities where you live in a tri-state area, where within 30 minutes to an hour, you can hit 3 different states because you live in a corner of a state. Yeah, you need national reciprocity. Because just something as simple as, well, I live in St. Louis, but I want to go to East St. Louis because one of my favorite restaurants is over there. You didn't cross the state line. Everything that's legal in Missouri is possibly illegal in Illinois now. You just committed a damn state crime. And because you cross state lines, technically, they can make that federal. And all you did was go across the Mississippi River. For those of you who don't know, when you carry a firearm or unauthorized firearm, quote unquote, across state lines, they can get the feds involved if they want. And they can get you for a federal charge because you went across state lines. Something that simple. For my people who live in Philly, you know you cross that Walt Whitman Bridge, you right there in Jersey. Just something that quick. It's something that quick. Just going across the bridge can cost you. So this is why I say, and if you live in that Connecticut, that Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, shit, from Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine, within a couple hours you can pass through from from Massachusetts to Maine. Within a couple hours you can been and went through 4 or 5 different states. And there's 2 guys that got in trouble in Massachusetts that came from New Hampshire because they crossed state lines and they had a couple guns with them. And Massachusetts just happened to stop them, and they had to go through a whole bunch of shit to get out of there. They arrested them and charged them and put them on trial for something as simple as that. And their argument was, but we able to carry in New Hampshire. And Massachusetts' argument was, well, we don't care. You here in Massachusetts, you cross state lines. So you guys and girls got to keep that in mind. We got to make it uncomfortable to even think you're going to look at the Second Amendment for any kind of adjustment. That needs to be, like I said, a politically nuclear decision. Once you say you're against the Second Amendment in any form, we need to make you say it at the next rally, and the next rally, we got to make you keep repeating it. And then we got to get some people to interview you, because the mainstream media ain't going to do it. When you show up on these podcasts like Joe Rogan and all these kinds of places, that needs to be one of the main things they ask you. What's your stance on the Second Amendment? And don't let them get out of it either. No, you got to press them. Make them stand on it. You against it? Okay. We need to keep knowing you're against it, so that way when it's time to vote, we can vote your behind out of office. If you for it, you can't say it one time and then don't talk about it no more. No, you got to keep saying it loud and proud. I'm for the Second Amendment, period, point blank. Another thing we got over Donald Trump is, remember when he had that bump stock ban and then the ATF came after them pistol braces? And then he had to get up there when he ran again and said he was going to repeal that. And when he got in there, he repealed that. But you guys and girls remember, he got, the Second Amendment community got up in his face about that shit. About he banned them bump stocks and he knew the ATF wasn't going to let it go. Because we know if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. Exactly, Dr. T. If you're against our gun rights, you ain't got our vote. And it can't be an idle threat. We got to start we're going to have to make some examples, but we can't do it one election cycle. We got to keep doing it. When I was a kid, I didn't even know what the hell abortion was until I kept hearing that shit on the news. I think I was 6th, 7th grade, and I kept hearing that shit on the news. And as I got older, I understood what it was. And it's been a political hot potato since before I was born, but I can't remember, at least since 1990. It's been a political hotball. Well, the Second Amendment needs to be that. We need to have it where it doesn't matter what victory we get, we still can't be satisfied. Because this is leverage. Like I said, abortion and the Second Amendment are nothing but political footballs. Period, point blank. And the Republicans got it off of the national thing. Now they can kick it back and forth. Now they can fight back and forth. That's all it is political leverage. Because let's be honest, a lot of Republican politicians believe in abortions when their daughters go to college and get with Jamal and he knock her up, or when they get caught with one of their staffers and they find out they done knocked up a staffer and they got to go and take her and get her to get rid of that baby they believe in it didn't. They just say it publicly that they don't because it's a political football. You know, it's toxic public, but yeah, you guys and girls know I'm telling the truth. I'm just being honest. Since we going there, I might as well just go there. when they come back for Thanksgiving and they have that conversation with the family, and they walk through the door and one of the family noticed, damn, you didn't pick a few pounds up. And they go to looking at that stomach she trying to hide, and they find out, yeah, I've been partying in college, Bristol Palin, been partying in college, and yeah, well, I grew up in this farming town, and I went to one of those college parties, and well, I had a little bit of juice, and well, I saw Jamal and told Jamal I want some, but I want it bare, and yeah, I let Jamal shoot up the club now, and I'm carrying Jamal's child. And on Black Friday, while everybody's standing in line trying to get into Walmart, her Republican representative dad got her at the black market doctor getting that baby out of her. They believe in abortion then. I mean, just saying. Just saying. Just saying. But like I said, they got to know that subject is, the Second Amendment is litmus test. Yeah, you're right about that. That subject is a litmus test. The Second Amendment. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. You can't get around it, and you can't give us a politician's answer. It's gotta be, this is the Second Amendment that we want. Are you for it or against it? Yes or no? There ain't no, you're not gonna give me a politician's answer. Because if you give me a politician's answer, the next person is supposed to ask you the exact same question. Supposed to ask you the exact same. We supposed to make it known you're not going to get out of here without talking about the Second Amendment and sticking to it. Either you for it or against it. Ain't no in between. Ain't no, yeah, well, but maybe if we, no. You're for it or you're against it. The way it was written, it shall not be infringed upon. Not may, it shall not be infringed upon. And telling me that I can't have a gun that holds 20 rounds and I can't go across state lines because this state don't like what I got. No. That's not the way it was written. Just like my driver's license is good in all 50 states, I want my permit to be good in all 50 states. Period, point blank. It's just that simple. That's how you solve that. That's how you solve that. You do that, you'll be all right. And you got to keep repeating it too. You can't do it one time or two times. And when you get in office and you get elected, and you guys and girls get this stuff pushed through and get it signed into law, that's not the end. Because the next time you run, you got to bring that back up. That you're still a big supporter of the Second Amendment. Because whatever you get through, there's going to be people that's going to challenge you. And they're going to run on, if you make me this, you make me that, I'm going to try and repeal it. No, you don't get to tell us one election cycle you believe in it. You get our vote. You get something through as a pacifier. No, you don't tell us when it comes to the Second Amendment what the agenda is. We're going to tell you what the agenda is, and you're going to do what we tell you to do. Or you just won't be in office. It's just that simple. This is the agenda. When they go to AIPAC, they don't take the agenda to AIPAC. When they go to AIPAC, AIPAC tell them, this is the agenda you're going to run. You're going to run this agenda or we're going to spend money against you. Period, point blank. Well, it's got to be the same way with us. This is the Second Amendment. It shall not be infringed on. If I want to buy an AR-15 in Iowa and go to California with it, with a 30-round mag or 60-round Magpul drum, it's going to be legal. And if anybody come and touch me and arrest me for having this, not only am I going to be let out of jail without spending a dime because I'm not bailing out, the government is going to make sure that they get me out. And the person that arrests me is going to be arrested for kidnapping. That's how we're going to do that. You arrest a law-abiding citizen that's got their concealed carry permit with them, and they're in another state, and you arrest them talking about we don't recognize your permit, we're going to have them arrested. That's automatically off the rip. It's got to be extreme like that to let them know the Second Amendment cannot be touched. It's got to be off the rip. You touch me, you arrest me, I'm not going to fight you, I'm not going to scream, I'm not going to shout. You put me in handcuffs, When I make it to police station and the word gets out that I got arrested for being a law-abiding citizen with a legal firearm in another state that claim that they don't uh yeah, I think that also. Uh Without what have you, the officer or officers that arrested me, I want them arrested, I want them charged, I want them convicted and sent to prison for kidnapping, because that's kidnapping. You taking me against my will. Yeah, I'm also with that too. I'm also with that too. That's a good idea to put in. That not only can we carry everywhere, but we can buy everywhere. That's a good idea. That's a real good idea. I don't know if I've ever addressed that, but universal purchasing, that's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. But I will say, universal purchasing is a really good idea. And I also believe that gun sales and jobs will go through the roof in the gun industry once we get all this red tape out of the way. Because now you can produce more firearms because you can sell in places you didn't sell before. There's certain guns, like, as far as I know, Canic don't produce. You can't buy Canic in certain states because, as far as I know, I don't think Canic has a gun that's less than 10 rounds. I don't know of any. They may have adjusted, but you got a lot of states that they can't sell certain guns in, and they refuse to even capitulate and say, you know what, I'm gonna make something that's legal for this state. Look, this is my product, take it or leave it. So that'll definitely help out. And you guys and girls know, of course, with more people being legally armed and being able to carry across state lines, you'll just have to also bring your sensible training with you. And remember, you may be going into an area where things is a little bit different. Practice keeping that firearm on your person. You really don't want to leave a firearm in a car unless you have to. You want to practice keeping it on your person just in case. Just in case, because you never know. So, like I said, we had these mass incidents. I might sound like I went off the rails and I was railing and just screaming from the mountaintops like some crazy dude. No, I was just pointing some things out, man, that when it comes to the Second Amendment, people just got to remember. Crimes are committed by proximity. You are more likely to be harmed by somebody that's close to you or somebody that's in an area closer to you than you are oh, wow, I didn't know that. My goodness. You know what? I guess that's why it's good that I got a variety. But Well-Dressed Tactical, shout out to him. He did point out something that makes a lot of sense. It's easy for somebody to lie and say you pulled the gun out on them and say you had a black gun or a silver gun, a chrome gun. Because most guns that people carry are black, or they are chrome. That makes a lot of sense. And that's why it's good to have all these different channels, man. Because I can't think of everything. And everybody can't think of everything, but as a collective. And like you said, Dr. T, this is why I love doing this. Because you guys and girls educate me about things that I don't know about when it comes to this. Like the bullet, certain ammunition you can't have. Wow. So, yeah, if it's not black or chrome, you can't have it. I mean, yeah, just stuff like that, man. Okay. So just stuff like that, man. Just you knowing all this good, getting rid of all this red tape, man. Also, I think we would have to kind of figure out on a case-by-case basis. But I do believe that all the people that was legally armed in their state that went across state lines and got caught with their firearm should have their record expunged, and they should get their privileges back. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. There's a lot of people that's went to New York City that just forgot they had their gun in their car. They came from Jersey, they came from Philly, or what have you, Baltimore, Maryland, or wherever, and happened to get stopped in New York City and had a handgun in the car, and they got arrested and they got a gun charge. If those people had never committed a crime and they had that firearm legal in their home state, I think their records should be expunged and they should get their rights back immediately. Not jumping through all this tape either. Because you guys and girls know with the stroke of a button on the computer whether this person had ever been convicted of a crime and if their guns was legal. Their records should be expunged. They should get their rights back. And, well, I would say give them their gun back, but come on, this is America. You know them guns get sent everywhere. Sometimes they steal them. Yeah, man. Well, when it comes to mental health, first off, without going in a tangent, I'll say this. In America, we got to make it okay for men to sit down and discuss what's on their mind and for them to not be teased or for therapists to not get online and talk about what their male clients talk about. You guys and girls may not know, a couple of years ago there was a female that lost her job, I think somewhere in North Carolina, because she decided to get online and talk about some of the things her clients was talking to her about their deepest pains and things, and she got out there and called them all kinds of B's and H's and everything, and she wound up losing her job for it. But first off, we got to make it okay for men in particular to be able to sit down with a therapist and just don't go beyond a therapist. That's number one. Number two, we got to get a hold of the health insurance industry. The insurance industry, period. But in particular, when it comes to this issue, we got to get a hold of the health insurance and the insurance industry and make it affordable for people to be able to afford this, man. With the things they've been allowed to do with insurance, some people have therapy as a part of their health insurance and they've lost that part. Or the insurance won't cover this, the insurance won't cover that. So that is a big part of mental illness that's not addressed in this country. Because it's hard to sit down and talk to somebody that can't afford to talk to you. You guys and girls know these mental health experts, they're not going to talk to you for free. You're going to pay them. Well, what good does it do if you have insurance coming out of your check every week for you or somebody you love that's in your family, somebody that's your dependent, and then your insurance come and tell you, well, yeah, I know you pay for that, but it costs us too much. Because insurance is strictly for profit. For those of you who don't know, when the insurance companies got to write a check out, they get angry. They file that as a loss on their taxes. And in return, what they do is your premium go up. Up here in the Midwest, up here in Iowa, yesterday, we had 3 or 4 big pileups on Interstate 80 involving semis and four-wheelers and what have you. And believe me, that's going to make everybody's premiums go up. The insurance companies have gotten to the point where they hate paying out. So if you live in Hurricane Alley now, they'll just tell you flat out, yeah, you got health insurance, you got all the insurance you need, but we just ain't paying. Period, point blank. It's too much money, too much damage down there, we ain't paying. You're on your own. But then your politicians pass laws that say if you don't have insurance, you lose your home or you lose your car, you lose what. So basically, you're in between a rock and a hard place. But before we can have mental health pushed, we got to make it affordable. That's the number one thing. And we got to hold these insurance companies accountable. If we don't get a hold of the insurance industry, I don't even want to go off on a tangent about that. There's a reason Luigi Mannioni allegedly did what he allegedly did. I'm gonna say that. You know what? Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something about them vets. Especially for the ones that have seen war. But even so, the ones who've never been deployed, but they've been in the military. You still see a lot of things in the military you don't see in regular life. It's a lot of life adjustments. You got to get used to being away from your family and all that other stuff. But if you're a person, you've never seen anybody get killed, you don't understand how traumatizing it is. And even for people that grew up in neighborhoods where it's natural to hear gunshots and see people on the ground, you think that's normal until you get away from it. As I told you guys the story, I was 6, 7 years old the first time I saw a murder. And I've never forgotten it to this day. And I've seen so many of them. So I couldn't imagine being in the service and what's going on? I can't imagine being in the service and seeing dead bodies all day and all night, watching people literally explode. I mean, I've had brain matter splattered on me before. I was that close to somebody that got hit in the head with a shotgun. Yeah, it's traumatizing. You don't sleep well. You hear things in the night. You hear things, you see things that's not there. It's traumatizing. And especially when it happens. So, oh, okay, I don't know. Everybody said I was disconnected. I don't know. Okay. But especially when it happens to somebody you know. When you become in the military, when you join the military, you become dependent on your bros and your girls that's out there in battle and combat with you. Some of y'all grow close. You depend on them and they depend on you to keep each other alive. And to see one of them wounded or killed, man. And then for the office, the military people that's actually wounded, or actually have to have amputations. I remember meeting a guy, man, in 2008, 2007, 2008 in Savannah, Georgia, man. And I think he said he was 23 years old. And he was in a Humvee that hit a landmine, and he had 2 prosthetic legs, man. From his knees down was prosthetics. And he was saying, you know, how it changed his life. There's just so much that goes into it, man. I can go on for hours and hours about that. But if you've never seen carnage, if you've never seen people get stretched out, you don't understand what it does to the mind. So yeah, I'm all for our vets. You know, unfortunately, we as a country, America, has had a long history of omitting the vets, of not taking care of the vets, and it's just widespread now. You guys and girls know, after the World Wars, the black GIs came. Some of them got hung in their uniform. The GI Bill, you know, a lot of them was cut out the GI Bill and wasn't able to get housing and funding for school like they was promised. So I can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about the military, you know, and how ex-military was treated. But if you've never been in a situation where you had to watch somebody lose their lives up close, you don't understand how traumatizing it is. And especially if you were one of the people in that attempted slaying. I always say this. It's easy shooting at somebody that can't shoot back. Most of these guys in the street, they're ninjas. They're not gunslingers. Yeah, man, the military, I'm going to tell you. You guys and girls, when you got time, you're welcome to get on YouTube, Google. Just Google it. You can see how many people was one day away from being able to get their military medical for the duration of their life, and the military pulled a fast one on them. And by one day, they was unable to get their continuation of their medical and all that for the rest of their life like they were promised. The paperwork, the bureaucracy. You guys and girls want to know part of the reason you got these military veterans shooting up these military bases? That's a part of the military bases being shot up that people don't discuss. But I ain't gonna go overboard about that because Uncle Sam is watching me from doing this, and the next thing you know, I'll be getting a knock on my fucking door. My door, about why you out here talking about that. I'm just saying, mental health is real. We do have people that's traumatized and don't know how to deal with it. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this. Until we get a hold, first off, of the insurance industry and get that regulated to the point that they can't pull stunts, like I said, there's a lot of people that lose parts of their coverage every day. There's a lot of people that had their covered in their in their health insurance, and then one day they just got a letter in the mail saying at the end of the year, we're not gonna provide that service no more. It's kind of like some of y'all that got your glasses or your medicine or whatever. They'll tell you we're not gonna cover this particular medicine anymore. That's why the whole Brian Thompson in New York, the alleged Luigi Mangione situation, why it happened, and why I went in the comment section and a lot of people cheered him on. They paid for something, got denied, and it cost a loved one their life. And I'm going to tell you this. It's easy to say what somebody should and shouldn't do until it knocks on your door. When people say, when Pookie and Ray Ray go out there and act a fool, the parents should be held accountable. It's easy to say that until it's your child that goes out there and do something they ain't got no business, knowing you raised them better. And then they come and get you. And the rest of your children are sacrificed because of the one child you got that won't listen. It's easy to say that stuff until it's your child. It's easy to say what you should and shouldn't do until it's you. It's easy to say I would find more insurance or just take my business elsewhere until it's your husband or your wife or your child or your special need person that's getting their medicine or their lifeline literally cut off from them to the point they can't go 2 or 3 days without this medicine. And then you got to go through all the hoops of finding a replacement. And then they lose their lives. It's easy until it's you. Especially when you're paying for it. It's easy. I'm telling you, death was something I had to learn early because it came knocking on my door early. I saw it early, and it affected me early. I was 7 when my daddy got killed. So it came knocking on my door early. You guys and girls know I told you I was 10 years old when I lost my first friend. Death came knocking at my door early. So I have the experience to talk about some of the things I talk about. I can't tell everybody how to feel that's been through it, but I can talk about the experiences. Yeah, I've asked this question about if stuff hit the fan. What would you do if you have a family member, a child, mom, dad, somebody, friend you really, really care about that you would give your life for if you guys had to grab up and go? How would you feel if you had to put them down? If stuff really hit the fan. And you know what happened? Hurricane Katrina. This is one of the stories from Hurricane Katrina people don't know. How many elderly people, how many sickly people had to get left behind? How many people were sitting out there at the Superdome and out there at the convention center that had blankets put over them because they passed on, because they got left behind? How many people can deal with the fact that they have 5 children, they have a car where they can barely fit in, and then one of them has a parent or a sibling that's wheelchair bound. Plus, you're trying to take things that you need because you don't know if you're coming back to your house, and you have to leave somebody. The squabbles that people had, that 2 sisters or 2 brothers were beefing. So yeah, I got a Suburban and 1 or 2 children, and I got plenty of room, but I ain't taking my sister and her children because I don't like her. And they wind up drowning. See, these are the things about life that you have to understand when we talk about getting legally armed. When we talk about stuff hitting the fan. When stuff hits the fan, it'll never be a perfect situation. And it'll never be a perfect timing. It'll always catch you off guard. But I asked that question because people had to flee their homes to get away from the water during Hurricane Katrina. If you have somebody that's in a wheelchair and the water starts here, and within 3 minutes, the water is already to your waist, how would you feel leaving your mom, leaving your dad, leaving your child to have to drown? Because if not, y'all can all lose your lives, or you have other people you have to be responsible for. That's a part of dealing with stuff hitting the fan. That's why we teach here on this channel. Sometimes we sit here, we laugh, I'm goofy, I have fun with y'all, and sometimes we have these serious discussions because I've had to go through them all. I know what it's like to have children and not know where they are for almost a month. And just have to hope that they're alive or hope that they're okay. I know what it's like for everybody with a 504 number, no matter where you at in the country, for your phone to crash. I know what that's like. Some people know what it was like to have the people when they actually finally started putting people on the buses, snatching people. And the mom went to Texas and her children got sent to North Carolina. She didn't know where her children were. I know this kind of stuff. That's why we have the discussions we have here. Like I said, this is nutritious and fruitful channel. You may not always like what you hear. You may not always agree. You guys and girls are always willing and able to engage me. I just ask that you be respectful. You may not like something I said. If I said something that was untrue, I'm not above correction. Pull my coat. Pull my coat and say, hey, Unc, you said this, but that's not true. Hey, Unc, you said that. I don't agree with it. I got my butt chewed for something I said a couple weeks ago when I said that I would be willing to leave the states to have states' rights and say, hey, you can carry here, but you got to carry according to our states' rights. I came back and corrected that a couple nights later, and then the next night, somebody got in my butt for the original statement where I said I would be willing to negotiate that, and they said their Second Amendment rights is not up for negotiation. And I took that butt chewing because I did correct myself before, but I was okay with that. I learned so much from you guys and girls, even for the people who may not be subscribed to this channel. For people who channels I may not be subscribed to, I still come in and I read y'all comment section, because I learn a lot from everybody. And this is a public discussion that we never was allowed to have before social media. Before social media, guns was either you for them or you against them. Depending on who you were demonized with a firearm. Social media has changed that. The mainstream media has dropped the ball, and we picking it up. And slowly by surely, we get that narrative changed around. That's why I do what I do here. With that being said, I've been running my mouth for 2 hours. I'm going to go ahead and go get in this bed and get me a nap in, because I get up early in the morning. I want you guys and girls, wherever you at on this planet, to be safe. Um, to the family out in Washington State, I wish you guys and girls a speedy recovery. Because on top of all that rain, it's still cold, it's still winter. To all the people on the East Coast, I wish you guys and girls safe travels. I know y'all got some snow today. Y'all first snow, we've already passed the 20-inch mark out here in Iowa. Like I said, we had some real bad pileups here yesterday. More than almost half of the country is under a hard freeze warning. So dress accordingly if you're going to go out. To my Jamaicans, because this is a worldwide movement, I hope you guys and girls a speedy recovery out there. I know what it's like to have to pick up the pieces from tornadoes, hurricanes, I'm sorry. To the people at Brown University, my condolences to you guys and girls. To the people from Australia, Bondi Beach, that was affected by that, my condolences to you. All I say about that is give the charge to the people or group that's guilty and stop charging us for everything, because we can't always be in everywhere that is something negative. To the Nigerians out there, I know we have our cultural differences, but to the Nigerians out there that's going through that genocide up there in the northern district up there in Nigeria, to my Mexicans, you guys and girls have some issues going on down there that y'all are addressing. To everybody around the world, this is a worldwide movement. We just want everybody to be safe. We want everybody to practice being safe. And wherever you live on this planet, whatever you can protect yourself with, we guys want you guys and girls to participate in that, because safety starts with you. With that being said, I appreciate everybody tuning into this live stream. We definitely going to do this again. Hit me in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Until next time, stay safe, stay armed, stay on high alert. We out.